Well, we I guess we promised we'd do this. USF football gets embarrassed 41-3 at Louisville. They were never in the game from the start. Uh, Two quick scores by Louisville in the first quarter really set the tone for the night. A couple missed throws by Gary Bohannon, a couple missed drops by Amari Dawson, and this thing got off the rails real quick, Seth. And let's take a quick look at the final stat line. Louisville outgains USF 542 yards to 153. That's 158. I shorter them 5 yards. How could I? 158 yards of total offense for the Bulls. They were 5 of 16 on third down, 1 of 3 on fourth down, and luckily they didn't get shut out because they kicked a sad field goal with about 7 minutes left in the game. So congratulations to Jeff Scott. He is now Skip Holtz.
Yeah, it was. It didn't get. It was basically the same as the first half. It didn't get better, didn't get worse. It just stayed the same. You lost every. We gave kind of numbers of what you needed to win to have a chance to win this game beforehand. What categories? I lost every single one. Lost field position, lost explosive plays, lost the turnover battle. You see the available yards there. Louisville picked up 71% of all available yards today. It was just a beat down from start to finish, really. And it seemed like, they threw in the towel pretty early on this one, too.
They did. I think it was the first or second drive of the second half. Travis Marsh comes in. Garrett Reynolds is getting playing time early in the second half.
All the young backs are in.
They threw in the towel real early on this game. They knew it. It's an embarrassing performance by Jeff Scott and his entire crew. I wrote the recap at the start of the fourth quarter because we knew what was going to happen. And between me writing the recap, starting and then finishing, Louisville had scored another touchdown. So that's really where we're at. It seems like the hope, the perfect game plan, all of the goodness from last week was just that. It was a fluke. It was a mirage. It was nothing other than the stars aligned for a brief moment for USF to at least compete at Florida. And we'll see what Florida does, in about 25 minutes as they take on Tennessee in Tennessee. But for all intents and purposes, that game means absolutely fucking nothing for USF. And this was the one outcome USF had to avoid today. They could lose. They couldn't lose like this. And now all hope, all momentum for this fan base, for this program, out the window. And then they're staring down the barrel of an ECU team is a little bit more frisky than maybe I had thought. And then also we have no idea if the game's even going to get played due to the hurricane. So it could be one thing after another. The game could get moved to East Carolina for all we know. So, yeah. So
it was about as polar opposite as you could have last week. Now, as we mentioned at halftime, it's not like the defense played well last week.
No, they were bad.
And I don't think either of us had any thoughts that they'd play really great this week. I think you had Louisville scoring 42. I had them scoring 38. So I didn't think that they would play great. I thought they'd be a lot better on offense. Now, obviously, missing your receivers hurts, but the plan was so
bad,
simple.
Suspect.
So scaled back from last week. So that's the most confusing and kind of disheartening part to me. Is last week you came in with a really creative plan, really took advantage of all the advantages you had, really had a good plan for Florida's personnel, not just their schemes, but their personnel, like what those guys did not do well against. And you used your quarterback in the run game a ton. You did a bunch of different things in the run game. So you're really creative there. And then this week it seemed really bland. It seemed really like, well, hey, we're down our first 3 receivers. Let's just see if we can get through it. I don't think that was what happened. I don't think they just came in and said, all right, we're punting this one. Let's get to conference. But the drop-off in creativity was very sharp, it felt like, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a stark comparison. Even like as you mentioned, the wide receivers being out, but it was the lack of creativity on the ground game. Everybody was there. Everybody was healthy. Why not be a little bit more creative with the ground game? Why not use more bash concepts? Why not use a little bit more jet action, jet motion?
Well, I
Do
think
something.
the other part you saw is like it doesn't, the jet doesn't, the fake doesn't hit the same if, I
Right.
think they had Garrett Reynolds or Holden Willis running it in the second half. That's not going to hold people as much as Jimmy Horn, right? So that maybe that was part of the issue, but I don't know. I think next week, like I've been kind of saying all year, are all kind of coming into the season. I expect them to be 1-3. Obviously, last week gave you some hope that they were going to be a little bit better this week, but they weren't. I think next week really tells the story. If they come out and get whacked, there's not. I mean, there's really no. If they come out and just get totally whacked by ECU, then it's like, what are we doing here?
Right.
So disappointing, but maybe they come out next week and play a lot better, and it feels like more of an aberration. But right now, the Florida game seems to be the big aberration of kind of the whole tenure, and it's still a game you lost. So
it's so frustrating, right? Because of all the hope, like that was I just can't get over how perfect that game plan was last week. Like
yes, it was
if you
great.
don't, if you just get the brakes beat off you last week, then this seems like you're kind of on pace, you're on schedule, and it was god awful. The start to finish, just terrible job. Defense is atrocious. They gave up, I think, 7.1 yards per play. I think Louisville. Let me take a look here. I think they had 76 total plays, averaged 7.1 yards per play, 13.6 yards per completion, 6.2 yards per rush. Malik Cunningham did absolutely whatever he wanted on this defense, and you paid the price. It was the one guy you had to stop, and I guess you decided, nah, he's not that good. He can't be the reason why they're in games and compete. So why you know what? We'll take away the running back who missed last week, not the quarterback who ran for 150 yards and a touchdown last week. We'll take away the running back because he is the key to their success, not the quarterback. Well, congratulations, USF. You played yourself, and now you're 1-3, head into conference play with literally no hope, and the fans hate you.
And the second half, you make him pitch it, and it goes for like 6 yards instead of
a touchdown.
All the yards that are remaining in the touchdown.
All available
yards.
Of the yards, all of the yards. You actually get a hand on the running back, which USF did not do on those first 3 touchdowns. So, my God, this has been terrible. I would assume the press conference is going to be starting soon. So want to be mindful of that. Want to jump into that Zoom call here shortly and see what happens. But there'll be more in the podcast. There'll be more in the film room.
And I don't think it's a talent. I don't think it's totally a talent issue at this point. This team's a lot more talented than they've been. At least that's what they told us.
They keep saying it, so it must be true, right?
I think there's some injury issues, but like at a certain point, at a certain point, you're in year 3. The roster is totally turned over.
Right.
I mean, how many guys are left from that team Strong brought in?
Not many.
Right. The roster's totally turned over. So like, I don't think you can have a talent. It's the talent level excuse because you've had a chance to turn this roster over 3 times. They had a plan to turn the roster over with the previous staff too. They going into that next season, and had a pretty good recruiting class lined up as well. But I'm just I don't know if it's a talent issue totally. I think next week tells the tale on where this team is at. If they just come out and get whacked, then there's a lot of stuff needs to change, I would think. But next week is still kind of, I think, the week to kind of circle.
We'll find out. Meantime, I got to go get ready for the Rays game. Hector, it's chaos right now. I'll be honest, man. There's three kids, ages 5 to 7, and then a a 2-year-old Brody running around causing chaos. It's nuts. I'm actually at our former podcast sponsor's house. We watched the game together today. They've got a newborn, so it was nice to see them out and about. So yeah, we'll wrap up here. I'm going to jump over to the press conference and we'll see what's what, and we'll talk Tuesday and Wednesday, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
All right.
All righty.
God damn. Embarrassing. Have a good night, y'all. Enjoy yourselves.
Have a good night.